This happened last year when I was 15. I lived in a quiet neighborhood, but I did have a few good friends in the area. Even though I had been there my entire life, there were still neighbors who I didn't know at all. Maybe we were unfriendly. Sue me. One day my friend Kate and I were messing around on the sidewalk in front of my house. We were playing around with sparklers and other stuff like that. Suddenly, Kate froze and told me to turn around and look behind me. I did as she said, and I could see in the house across the street there was somebody peering at us through the window. He had the lights off, so I couldn't tell what he looked like. It seemed creepy, but like I said, we don't know all of our neighbors, so it could be nothing. Kate and I went back to what we were doing. However, a few minutes later, she told me to look again. This time, there was a woman with him at the window. They were just staring at us. Kate and I began to feel uneasy, but again, we ignored them. As the sun went down, I walked back to my house and Kate went back to hers, which was a few blocks away. Later that evening at around 10, my phone lit up. I was watching the latest episode of Orange is the New Black, so I ignored it at first. Then I got another, and another. So I finally picked up the phone and looked at the screen. The alerts came from Snapchat. Someone added me. The username was Jaden with some numbers at the end, and he sent a picture. I waited until the episode was over, then I opened it. It was just a black screen with a message saying, "Hey." I wasn't scared at that point, more annoyed. If someone's going to message me, it's nice for them to say a little more than "hey," so I ignored it. About 6 or 7 minutes later, I got another message from the same username, and again, it was a black screen. This time the message was, "Why didn't you answer?" I ignored it again and went back to Netflix. When my phone buzzed again, I didn't even look at it. Throughout the next episode, I got about 4 more alerts, all of which I ignored. I went to bed shortly after. When I got up the next morning, I looked at my phone. I was shocked to see 11 more Snapchat messages. Some of them were black screens from that Jaden username asking, "Why aren't you answering?" or, "I know you're awake. Answer me." The last one, however, is what really freaked me out. It was a picture of my house taken from across the street with the message, "Answer me now." I wasn't sure, but it looked like the picture was taken from where I saw that creepy couple staring at Kate and I. Unfortunately, I didn't get a screenshot, but I think you can forgive me for not thinking clearly at that moment. I did block him though. A few days went by and I didn't hear anything from this mysterious account. However, one day when I was in class, someone added me. It was the same name as before, but with a 1 added to the end. Then I got multiple snaps. Since I was in class, I didn't open any of them. Later that day, however, my curiosity got the best of me, and I checked them. They were all pictures of me. Some were during lunch, others were of me walking home from school. Again, I forgot the screenshots and blocked the user. The next night, I got another snap from that same username, but with a 2 at the end. It was a picture of my window, taken from across the street. This time, I told my dad. He freaked out and called the police. When they arrived, I told them everything. Unfortunately, I didn't get screenshots, so there wasn't much they could do. I think it was that couple from across the street, but since I can't prove it, I may never know. I live in a small farming community, about an hour outside of a major city in the Midwest. I won't say which one. We regularly have parties at my friend's property for the whole community. We usually have a giant fire. My friend's dad built a new barn last year, so we would burn what is left of the old one. The word has gotten around to some of the neighboring towns, and we often get outsiders come in to join. It's a great way to meet new people and chill with old friends. At one of these parties, I noticed a beautiful girl who I had never seen before. She was tall with long red hair and a flowing green dress. I'm normally very shy around girls, but I walked up to her anyway. "Hey, I'm Troy," I said. "Hey Troy, I'm Claire," she replied. Claire said that she was from a town only a few miles away. I had never heard of it. That might seem like a red flag, but I can be pretty bad with names of places, so it didn't bother me. We had a great conversation. She was really funny and charming. I was shocked she was even interested in me. As the fire died down later in the evening, the party died with it. Claire and I exchanged Snapchat usernames, and then parted ways. Laying in bed that evening, my mind was fixated on her. However, one thing did strike me as odd. It seemed like she had come alone. Like I said, it's not uncommon for outsiders to join in on the party. We even encourage it. However, they always come in groups. For a single girl to show up alone was strange. I didn't worry about it though, and I soon fell asleep. Over the coming weeks, Claire and I stayed in touch regularly through Snapchat, sending a few selfies per day with some clever messages. I'm super funny, and I always come up with great captions for my selfies. After some back and forth, we decided to meet again. She suggested a spot around one of the country roads where we could be alone. That sounded great to me. We decided that she would go first and use the Snap Map so I could find the location. My dad had an older truck that he allowed me to use, so I jumped in and set off. The sun was dipping below the horizon, but the bright headlights of the truck were more than enough to light the empty dirt road. Small shrubs and bushes dotted the landscape, with the occasional tree sticking out like a sore thumb. There was no sign of civilization, just empty fields. I looked at my phone to check Claire's location on the Snap Map. I was close. As I neared the spot, I noticed an old pickup truck stopped on the road. It was positioned sideways, blocking the entire road. I was confused at first, but what happened next left me terrified. Another set of headlights appeared in my rearview mirror. They were trying to trap me. The space was closing in fast as I approached the truck ahead. I floored the gas and swerved off the road, attempting to go around the blockade. To my relief, I was able to get back on the road in one piece. I glanced into my rearview mirror as I sped away. Claire and an older man stood on the road glaring at me. When I arrived home, I told my dad about the incident. I was embarrassed, but I had caused some damage to the truck in my escape, so I had to come clean. He was sympathetic and contacted the police. Unfortunately, Claire had blocked me, and since I didn't save any of our conversations, there wasn't really any evidence. I figure they were planning to rob me, but it seemed like an overly elaborate plan for what would have amounted to an old pickup truck and whatever pocket change I had on me. Perhaps their plans were more sinister, but luckily, we will never know. My name is Penelope, and at the time of this incident, I was 16. I've always enjoyed board games, and I have a good group of friends that share my passion. We would always go to one of those board game cafes. This one was called Snakes and Lattes. They always have the cleverest names. I usually went with my friends, but it was not uncommon for us to meet people when we were there and get a big game going. One day, I was playing with a couple of friends, and a man came over to our group.
"Hey girls, can I join?"
He asked. Sure," I said. To be honest, I didn't want him to join us, but I was less confident back then, and had some real people-pleaser tendencies. I could tell that my friends didn't want him to join us either, which was clear from the look on their faces. He said his name was Dave, and he was 27 years old. He had long brown hair and thick glasses that were held together by a piece of tape wrapped around the middle part. Dave immediately started giving off bad vibes. He was sitting next to me, and all he did was complain about his girlfriend. He said that he came here to get away from her, and that the only reason he didn't dump her was because she was his only source of income and shelter. What am I supposed to say to that? I just gritted my teeth and nodded awkwardly. He also bragged about how he stole a large hunting knife from Walmart, and he showed it to me. Also, he told me that his glasses were broken from a bar fight. That really scared me. The kind of guy that carries a knife and gets into fights just has trouble written all over him. He did seem kind and friendly in a way though, but he was casually talking about assaulting people. We were only about halfway through the game when he asked for my Snapchat. I reluctantly gave it to him. Like I said, I didn't have the courage to say no back then. If anyone tried that on me now, I would have had no problem laughing in his face. Just after I gave it to him, he got up and went to the bathroom. While he was away, I received a message from him on Snapchat. It read,
Hey, I know this sounds creepy, but I think we should totally date.
There was more written, but I didn't need to read it. I wrote back, "Oh, no, I'm not interested in a relationship right now." He replied with,
Okay, no problem.
When he came back, we acted like nothing happened. The rest of the game was one of the most awkward hours of my life. He made a few crude comments and attempts at flirting, but I quickly shut them down. After the game, I told my friends what happened with Dave. We agreed that he was a weird guy and that we would try to avoid him from now on. He sent me a few messages throughout the next week or two, but I ignored them. I have also seen him at the cafe since, but we always try to avoid him, and it's worked so far. This all started at the beginning of the semester a few years ago. I was a senior in high school, and I had a pretty good group of friends. We would often use Snapchat to stay in touch, or just to share memes or jokes. I was riding the bus home from school on a Friday, excited to start the weekend, when my phone buzzed. I had a new message on Snapchat. The username was just some random numbers and letters, and it had a picture of my school, with no message. I figured it was just one of my friends messing around, so I replied, "Haha, nice picture, loser," or something sarcastic like that. There was no reply after that. Later that evening, my friends and I met at a park near my house. We would often meet there and decide on something to do. We decided to go to my friend Tim's house, since his parents were away. As we walked there, I casually brought up the Snapchat message. I figured we could have a laugh about it. However, they all vehemently denied it. I didn't know what to believe. Maybe it was one of them, and they just thought it would be funny to mess with me. But I wasn't sure. We were watching a movie in Tim's living room when my phone lit up. It was another message from the mysterious account. This time, it was a picture of my house.
I'm coming for you,
is what the message said. This time, I knew it wasn't one of them because we were all in the same room, and I didn't see any of them with their phones. I showed the message to Tim. "Dude, that's messed up," he said. "Yeah, who do you think would do that?" I asked. "No idea. Must just be somebody messing around," he added. I thought Tim was probably right. It must have just been someone from school playing a joke on me. A bad joke, but a joke nonetheless. After the movie was over, I walked home. I was a little on edge knowing that my new Snapchat friend was out there, but I had a lot of courage, so it wasn't that big of a deal for me. While I was getting ready for bed, I got another message. This time, it was a picture of my bedroom window with the message,
Come outside.
I rushed to the window and peeked through the curtains. There was somebody standing on the front lawn, covered by a shroud of darkness. I couldn't see his face, but he was wearing a dark gray hoodie and ripped jeans with running shoes. He was holding a phone, but other than that, he didn't seem to have anything. No visible weapons. This time, I decided to ignore it. I didn't reply to the message. If this was a joke, I didn't want to give him the enjoyment of a reaction. Not able to sleep, I lay awake in bed, periodically checking my phone, expecting another message. After about 20 minutes, it happened. Another message from my stalker. This time the picture was of my front door with the message,
If you won't come out, then I'm coming in.
This had gone far enough. I took a screenshot of the image, and I was about to tell my parents so we could call the police. However, looking at the picture, I noticed something. I could see his reflection in the window of our front door. It was the younger brother of a friend of mine. His name was Alex. I hardly knew him, and we certainly didn't have any problems with each other. I replied, "I know it's you, Alex. Screw off." No reply. I didn't get any more messages for the rest of the weekend, and I didn't tell anybody what happened. On Monday, however, Alex came up to me after school, begging me not to tell anyone. He said it was just a joke that went too far. He also added in some other excuses for good measure. His girlfriend just broke up with him, he's failing math, his dog just died. Really piled it on for sympathy. I told him it was cool, but just don't do it again. Part of me felt sorry for him, so maybe his excuses worked.